تعالى الخير والحث والتمسك بكتاب الله وسنة رسول الله ابتغاء مرضات الله وقربه وثوابه سبحانه وتعالى. الحمد لله رب العالمين حمدا يوافي نعمه ويكافئ مزيدا والصلاة والسلام على خير الأنام وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, praise is worthy, the beneficent sovereign, the controller of all things in the universe, and the granter of bounties and sustenance. And we ask our Lord Most High, Most Magnanimous, to send copious and unlimited and eternal blessings and salutations upon our beloved Prophet Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wasallam. And we acknowledge the land in which we hold this class as Aboriginal land, and we pay our respects to the elders past and present. Mabad. So if we continue, inshallah ta'ala, I think it's page 100, is it not? 98?
98.
Page 98. We continue inshallah with what the Imam has said. قال المؤلف رحمه الله رضي الله عنه وعنكم نفعنا به وبكم. So we read the Arabic. وعليك إذا أردت أن تنصح إنسانا في أمر بلغك عنه بالخلوة به والتلطف له في القول ولا تعدل إلى التصريح مع إمكان التفهيم بالتلويح. فإن قال لك من بلغك عني هذا فلا تخبره كي لا تثير العداوة بينه وبينه. ثم إن قبل منك احمد الله واشكر له، وإن لم يقبل فارجع على نفسك باللوم وقل لها يا نفس السوء من قبلك أتيت فانظري لعلك لم تقومي بشراءة النصح وآدابي. So he says on page 98, the mu'allif, the author, may Allah have mercy on him and you, may Allah be pleased with yourselves and him as well. He says, it's the second paragraph, second and a half, whatever. When you wish to give advice to someone regarding any behavior of, if you sit with someone, there's an extra book. When you give advice, the brother hasn't got one.
That's that book.
Oh, it's missing the section. Try and mix it up. Can you all see a copy back there? Is that an extra one? There's an extra one coming your way. There's an extra one coming your way. Okay, when you wish to give advice to someone regarding any behavior of his or hers that you have come to know about, talk to him or her privately. Be gentle and do not say explicitly what can be conveyed implicitly. Should he or she ask you, who reported this to you, then do not tell them, lest you stir up enmity between them. If he or she accepts your advice, praise and thank God. If he or she does not, then blame yourself, in other words, your ego, and say, O evil soul, ego, it is through you that I was defeated. Think. You may have fulfilled the conditions and proprieties of giving. You may not have fulfilled the conditions and proprieties of giving advice. Alright, so the Imam is talking to us about how we should give advice. So in the previous paragraphs and the beginning of the chapter, this is a chapter on counsel anyway. And we said that the Prophet of Allah said, what did he say? 2 words, ad-din and nasiha. So that's a good, you know hadith now. 2 words, ad-din and nasiha. Right, so he said it's counsel and it's sincerity, both of those things. There's 2 connotations to that word, nasiha. So now the Imam's going into the specifics, there are other ways of giving nasiha, to praise someone, to the other ways that we discussed in the revision and we discussed last week. And if someone praises you, how you respond if that quality is within you, and how you respond if that quality is not within you. All these different things that were spoken. Now it's the direct advice. How does a person give direct advice to another individual? And he says, if it reaches you, if you come to know about a thing, talk to that person in private. Because it's not good to expose the sins of another human being. It's not good to, as they say, put someone on show in front of other people. And if someone does that to an individual, you can know that that's not a nasiha, that's not counsel, nor is that sincerity. All it is, they're trying to put someone else down. So it's very important that if one is to give a counsel, and the Prophet ﷺ used to give counsel another way. He said, for example, woe to a people that does so-and-so, or the people that do so-and-so are doomed, or whatever. So he didn't speak specifically to an individual. He just mentioned an action, he mentioned a characteristic, he mentioned the quality, and he said the people that do that, the consequence of doing that is the negative effect, whatever it might be, in a different circumstance that he mentioned it, alayhi salatu wasalam, and he used to do it regularly. He used to do it a lot, alayhi salatu wasalam. So to speak to someone directly though, must be done in private. And it's got to be done in the busy day and age in which we live in. It's got to be done at a time when the person is going to be amenable or acceptable to your advices. There's no point the person's running off to go somewhere or to do something, or they're stressed out about some stressful event in their life, a person's ill in their family, or a person's passed away, or they're scared of losing their job, or whatever the case might be. It's not the time to go and give someone counsel. You've got to have a bit of insight, or an individual the person counselling has to have a bit of insight into the person. And one time we went with one of the mashayikh and one of the Habib actually, and a brother and sister, they were having marital problems. And he went to sit down, and they were just, both of them, all over the place. So he took him in his car, drove him around, made jokes, took him to like the service station and bought him, they were treating him like kids, bought him like lollies and whatever else, and bought him soda pop and what do you call it? That's the American word for it. Soft drink, got him a soft drink, and whatever else, and then bring him and took him to the date farm, and then after that they calmed down a bit. Then he could talk to him. After all these things, it took about 2 hours. So it's not just you blurting things out, or even worse, putting things on Facebook. Oh, you, and people do it all the time. Oh, what about you? You're like this. What do you mean? That's not nasiha. That's just chastising someone. That's just blaming someone. This is putting on show, as it's called. So it has to be done in private. And then he says, وَالتَّلَطُّفُ, that one needs to be gentle. So we're not breaking down. I went to the brother and I smashed him. I gave it to him, bro. What do you mean? Well, you're not trying to smash the brother, are you? Are you trying to smash him? You're not. What are you trying to do? They're counsel him or her, as the case might be, so they can change. The point of the counsel you're giving them is change. That's the success. The success isn't your ghayz, or as the Imam later on talks about, to vent one's egotistical misgivings or frustrations on another human being. That's not the point of counselling people, is it? Am I mistaken? The point of counselling people is to make the world a better place and to make the individual a better individual. So that's why the nasiha, din nasiha, has to have that sincerity. It's not about me. It's not about what I think. It's not about what I feel. It's not about a sin I've seen or a negative quality I've seen from someone that I hate, and so I want to unleash on that individual. It's about lutuf, gentleness, and rahmah, and empathy, and understanding. For example, somebody smokes. Yeah, okay, we know it's a munkar. It's not a good thing to do, but they've got a habit. They're sick, or they take drugs, and now we know there's how many different, types of malaise, kleptomania, nymphomania, agoraphobia. There's so many, illnesses that are diagnosed by doctors that who are we to come and put it on that person, so to speak, or give them an ultimatum? That's not our purpose. And then, if we give them a nasiha and they say, brother, or sister, I'm stuck, then what do we do? Oh, organise yourself. No, we have to assist them. We have to help them. We have to support them. And if we come to the individual and we're hard and we're harsh and we're just unleashing our own frustrations, do you think they're going to want our help, our support, our counsel, and say, yeah, thanks, mate, talk to the hand, or get back to you shortly, I'll get back to you later, I'm too busy, or I want to hear from you. So the gentleness is because of shafaqah, because of empathy and sympathy for that individual who we don't know what their situation is. And there's even a hukm in the Sharia called hukm al-mubtali. Hukm al-mubtali is someone who's addicted, or has got a phobia, as the case might be. Someone who's addicted to, for example, drinking alcohol. And we know that in some of the Sharia rulings there's corporal punishment for drinking alcohol. But if the person's addicted, they don't just come and beat the guy or whip him. He goes through a program, rehabilitation program. On drugs, it's the same thing. And whatever other melees are out there, like we said, kleptomania and the sexual melees that are out there, and whatever different, illnesses, mental illnesses that people have. And they're only increasing. So it's not about that. Like the guys that whipped the dude that was drinking, Back it was a few years ago now, but it made the papers and it made the news and all that. Or wanted to get him to stop, Yeah, that's really going to get him to stop. The guy's got a problem. Maybe he's got a different problem in his life that he's taking his frustrations out with that alcohol. So alcohol really isn't the problem for the guy. A whip is going to do nothing for him. Or bashing him or chastising him or exposing him on Facebook or social media. It's going to do nothing. Look at the problem. What's his problem? Oh, he's got a marital problem. His kids or whatever. He can't get along with his parents. Whatever. He's been ostracized. He lost his job. Whatever the case might be. Help him find a job. Help him talk to his family. Help him get some counselling for marriage counselling, whatever the case might be, or her as the case may be. And then the other one is, this is a hard one today, is to talk, if one can talk implicitly and you make examples, but we live in the world where there's no more like wisdom anymore. There's no more, telling a story of a guy that did a similar thing and, that doesn't work anymore. So you've got to tell people straight out. If you don't tell them straight out, they don't get it, unfortunately. They've gone to the days where, if someone did something wrong, and then someone, a mature, wise person would come and say, yeah, once upon a time, maybe they make up a story, but generally they wouldn't. It'd be stories of people that happened. Oh yeah, once a guy stole something and he realised it was bad and he repented to Allah and he took the thing that he stole back because he knows that someone stole something. So rather than tell him directly, but now we don't get it like, yeah, that guy stole something, as if like the person stole something and you tell the story of, yeah, what a scumbag, he's a thief, but the guy stole it himself. So unfortunately, those days of, of wise storytelling and quotes and whatever else, they're hard to come by, and people, if you don't tell them directly, unfortunately, so it's rather than saying, someone saw you, whatever, smoking drugs, wherever it was, say, look, in our deen, Allah has made rules, and these rules are for our own benefit. They protect our mind, they protect our heart, they protect our family. And one of those, is that people shouldn't take drugs. And yeah, I'm against drugs. Okay, it's not working, your counsel. Oh yeah, the other time so-and-so was taking drugs. Now it's turned into riba for both of you. Bro, look, it's come to my attention that, someone close to me is doing drugs. Yeah, who is it? And it's the bloke, and then you got to just tell the person, look, it's come to my attention that, someone's seen you and you're doing whatever, smoking dope or whatever else is out there. And then, so who told you? That's the next thing. Who told you? Me. But then you can't say. Then that's what the Imam says next. He says, should he or she ask you who reported this to you, then do not tell them, lest you stir up enmity between them. Because if you tell someone, they're going to go and say, why'd you tell me? And these days, man, someone might get stabbed over it or something. Like people are, things are nuts these days. And it could break up families and break up marriages and all sorts of things. All sorts of crazy things. Like we went one time, one brother, he was straight 180, and then he went off the rails. And then his missus rang my missus, and she said, my husband's like that. And I went to see the guy, and he told me this fantabulous story, like, all lies. You can tell. And I'm like, yeah, it's hard, this and that. Like, what can you say to the guy? I'm going to tell him that, and he's a very respected member of the society, of our community. So, what's the nasiha to that person? I didn't say anything to him. Just support him. Ring him up. Talk to him. If he doesn't answer my calls, doesn't matter. Keep ringing him. And then if that doesn't work, get my missus to call his missus and set things up. Because people want to run away from their fears. Unfortunately, that's the reality of human nature. We don't want to face our fears because we're comfortable with our deficiencies. Does that make sense? Like, if you speak to a physiotherapist or a chiropractor or an osteopath or even a masseuse, when they work on the human body, they try and manipulate the human body to get it back to its ultimate performing self. But the human body, like say for someone's hunched over, that's it. They're used to being hunched over because constantly they're in that position. So the body doesn't want to give that up. The body wants to stay hunched over. And same as any habit a person has. if someone stays up late, for example, at night, not mentioning anyone specifically, of course, they like to stay up late at night. Even if they set 5 alarms to sleep early, they like that their bodies, we're used to it. Whatever, change is difficult for us because change means we have to admit that there's something amiss, that we're not as good as we could possibly be, or there's something wrong. So we grab onto the negativity, whether we admit it or not, whether we've thought about it or not. That negativity, like people who are alcoholics and people who whatever, they understand that it's bad for them, or smokers. They know it's going to kill them, but they just can't. They enjoy that habit. That habit makes them comfortable. That way of life, whatever they're doing, they're comfortable in doing it. And so a person goes to bad in that sense rather than goes to good. Na'udhu billahi subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the nature that we have, and then the other nature is to blame someone else. Oh, that's how my parents raised me. No one taught me. No one showed me. Oh, man, you're a mature human being. You're an adult. How long are you going to keep blaming your parents for? How long? You're mukallaf in Allah. Once a person's pubescent, that's it. Allah says, don't worry about parents. The moment I ask you, keep blaming the parents. Keep blaming your teachers. Keep blaming so-and-so. It's not going to work. So, unfortunately, we like to be in our ruts. Whatever is comfortable, we like to do. Irrespective of how bad it is, people overeat. They know they're overeating. They know they're overeating. But they can't stop doing it because it feels good. It sets off endorphins in their brain. It sets off things that make them comfortable, make them happy, whatever the case might be. People who watch particular things on internet or whatever, haram or otherwise, again, they get a rush out of it. And they know it's wrong, but they can't, bring themselves to stop doing it when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, he says, of course we shouldn't tell because people, that's what they do. They blame other people for it. And then he says, if he or she accepts your advice, praise and thank God. That's what the Prophet ﷺ was ordered to do. إِذَا جَاءَ Surah Al-Nasr, he said, فَاسْتَغْفِرْهُ صَبِّحْ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّكَ وَاسْتَغْفِرْهُ. Praise Allah Azza wa Jalla and make istighfar. Seek forgiveness for the shortcomings that you missed out on. And it says, if the person doesn't, then blame yourself. This is the prophetic way. The Prophet of Allah, when he went to Ta'if, and he went, Sallallahu Rasulillah, he went to Ta'if, he went to call the people, they sent the so-called, the bottom of kids in the bottom of the society to throw rocks at him. Then when he left the town, alayhi salatu wassalam, the Prophet ﷺ made dua, Ya Allah, I'm the one, ashku alayka da'fa quwwati wa qillata hilati wa hawani ala nas. It's my fault. I don't know how to talk to him. I don't know how to set things up in the right way. Blamed himself. That's the prophetic way. Otherwise, we've been, that guy's so-and-so, may Allah destroy him. People do that all the time. All the time. When people don't get their way, in accordance with their ego, they start wanting to destroy people. And we know what happens from a couple of weeks ago, from a couple of classes ago, a couple of chapters ago. What happens to the person that curses someone or damns someone, and that person they've cursed or damned isn't deserving? That's it. Goes back. Boomerang, as the brother said. It sticks, as that saying. What is it? I'm like something and you're like glue, whatever. How's that? Remember when you used to say when you were a kid? I'm like rubber and you're like glue, whatever you say bounces off me and sticks to you. That's what it was. It's like that. So the curse is like that. If someone curses someone, you never said that when you were young? Man, we used to say it all the time. When you're like, I know you are, but what am I? You never used to say that then? Come on, I used to say that at least.
Yeah.
So we're a bit more sophisticated in my day then, if that's what we used to say. So maybe it's a cultural thing, I don't know. So that's it. When you curse someone, that's what happens. The curse, when someone curses another person, if that person isn't deserving of the curse, bounces back to the person. It goes looking for the person, finds them. They're not deserving. Back to the person that cursed. So here's a person maybe trying to do nasiha, maybe trying to do something positive, maybe trying to call someone to Allah. But when they didn't get the way of their ego, and so what do? They end up cursing themselves or asking that. So he says, say, O evil soul, it is through you that I was defeated. Think, you may not have fulfilled the conditions and proprietaries, meaning the etiquettes of calling to Allah, of nasiha. There's a special etiquette, and some of those etiquettes include firstly making dua to Allah Azza wa Jal, and praying 2 rak'at, and being in tahara, and maybe even being in ritual purity, in other words in wudu, and maybe even giving some sadaqah. And then at night before Fajr, after Isha, making tahajjud prayer and asking Allah to guide that person whom you gave the nasiha to. That's all part of the etiquettes. If a person doesn't fulfill those etiquettes, then the question is whether Allah will send His divine guidance down. And then he talks about another factor. Then he talks about now the Imam is moving on to another, that was all about nasiha. Now the Imam is moving on to another area. فَإِذَا ائْتَمَنَكَ إِنسَانٌ عَلَى شَيْءٍ فَعَلَيْكَ بِحِفْظِهِ أَشَدَّ مِمَّا تَحْفُظُ لَوْ كَانَ مُلْكًا لَكَ أو مِلْكًا لَكَ. Says, if you are given something as a trust, guard it better than if it were your own. In other words, your own possession. That's what he says. And then, it's in some of the colloquial Arabic sayings is that if someone gives you an amana, someone gives you a trust to guard, then muwakkal fiha shaitan. That's what they say. They say that if someone gives you something to use, in other words, you want to borrow someone's car, borrow someone's phone, pen, whatever it might be, then it's likely that something's going to happen to it. That's what they say, because some people I've heard them, they say, "I never let anyone drive your car. As soon as someone else drives your car gets ruined." That's what they say. That's their personal sayings. So the point being is that if you were to borrow someone's tools for work or whatever it might be, someone's clothing, that you should guard it better than you guard your own things. In other words, make sure that you use it for the purpose, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well. وَعَلَيْكَ بِأَدَاءِ الْأَمَانَةِ وَإِيَّاكَ وَالْخِيَانَةِ فيها وقد قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا إيمان لمن لا أمانة له وقال عليه الصلاة والسلام 3 متعلقات بالعرش النعمة تقول اللهم إني بك فلا أكفر والرحم تقول اللهم إني بك فلا أقطع والأمانة تقول اللهم إني بك فلا أخان. Says, return that which was entrusted to you, and beware of betraying that trust. The Prophet, may blessings and peace be upon him, has said, he who cannot keep a trust has no faith. There's no iman for that individual. And 3 things that are attached to the throne of Allah Azza wa Jal. Benefaction, which says, O God, I am by you, therefore let me not be denied. Kinship ties, to your relatives, which say, O God, I am by you, therefore let me not be severed. And trust, in other words, a trust that an entrusted person says, O God, I am by you, therefore let me not be betrayed. So we'll look at that footnote in a tick. So if you're given, return that which was entrusted to you and beware of betraying the trust. So, in other words, even in the Sharia, so let's say, for example, you borrow a person's, this is a jubba. So you borrow a jubba from a person. Okay, then you go and you go and play footy in it. Or you go and work in it. And you go to give it back and it's got rips and it's got marks that can't be washed out. So Shar'an, it's your responsibility to try and wash them out, or if it's ripped, to mend them, or to get a new jubba for that. It's Shar'an. Even sleeping in clothes. Someone gives you their work clothes and you work and you sleep in them, and then something happens and they get ruined. So the thing you borrow has to be fit for purpose. You borrow a person's, the SUV, and it's not really made for forward driving. You take it forward driving and it breaks and whatever else. It's in the Sharia, it's your responsibility to repair that thing. So whatever you use has to be fit for that purpose. If it's not fit for that purpose, so if you're using it while the thing's a car and it breaks by itself, then you're not responsible in the Sharia to repair it. But if you were neglectful, right? For example, it's a manual car, you put it in first gear and you went up to 100, unless it's a Ferrari or something, or you went to 200. Okay, and the engine blew or the gearbox or whatever, then you're responsible, because that's not what the purpose of first gear was for those who drive manual. Okay? So whatever the thing is that you borrowed, if you used it for the purpose, a phone. You went swimming and had the phone, unless it's one of those phones that are waterproof, and then it got wrecked, then you're responsible for it to pay, and that's what it means, return the amana. And then khiyana, as we said, that there's no word for it in the Arabic language. It's the didd al-amana. Arabs there's no concept of, they don't do those things. They give their word, and even if it's their neck or their life, that's how they were once upon a time. Now, don't worry about it, just lie all day long. Wallahi, this happened and it didn't happen. Wallahi, I paid that much for it, if you're buying and selling. And the straight lies when yeah, no worries, I'll do it for you, I'll take care of it. Forget about it. So originally that's in the Arabic language, there's no meaning for the word of khiyana. It's didd al-amana. That's what the opposite of being trustworthy. That's what it was. And if someone wanted to really insult someone, they say kha'in. That person is treacherous. Whoa. Like for us, maybe it's not a big deal, but for the Arabs, it was a big deal. The original Arabs. And he says, the Prophet of Allah, والسلام, he said, whoever cannot keep, or he or she who cannot keep a trust, has no faith. Has no faith. Because iman, we said, is security, and if you're holding something for someone, that's what it is, securing the person's trust. If the person can't hold on to it, then the iman doesn't mean they've got no iman, it means that iman is extremely deficient. And then there's three things that are tied to the arsh of Allah Azza wa Jal. Okay, a ni'mah, the blessing, the bounty, the sustenance, and he uses a good word here, the translator. It says benefaction, which says, O God, Ya Allah, I'm by you. Therefore, let me not be denied. So the ni'mah, it's going to pass, it's going to happen, it's going to be accepted, inshallah it will be. Kinship ties, rahm. They say, I am by you, therefore do not let me severed. These are in other words, the grievous sins that a person commits. Because and then the last one is trust, which says, O God, I am by you, therefore let me not be betrayed. And then the footnote on page 140, it says, I am by you means you gave me such an honourable position in the proximity of your throne. Therefore let me not be misused, for close to you as I am, the consequences must be terrible. And that it's just a metaphorical expression of how immense and significant these three things are, that they're close to the throne of Allah Azza wa Jal. Does that make sense? Any questions? No? It says, وَعَلَيْكَ بِصِدْقِ الْحَدِيثِ وَالْوَفَاءِ بِمَا عَاهَدْتَ عَلَيْهِ وَوَعَدْتَ بِهِ فإن نقض العهود وخلف في الوعود من الأمارات من أمارات النفاق وفي الحديث آية النفاق ثلاثة إذا حدث كذب أو كذب وإذا وعد أخلف وإذا اؤتمن خان وفي رواية وإذا عاهد غدر وإذا خاصم فجر. So he's talking about the qualities, alayhi salatu wasalam, of hypocrisy, which is, the Sahaba, that's what they were always worried about. They never thought to themselves, khalas, I'm Muslim, that's it, I'm going to go Jannah, I've got guarantee, that's it, I fast, I pray, I pay zakat, and I'm planning to go to Hajj, that's it, I've got it made. They never thought that. They were always worried about that. That was the thing that was over their heads all the time. Yeah, I'm doing what I'm doing, but what's my internal state while I'm doing it? What's my condition in terms of being close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, being sincere to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala while I'm doing that thing? So he says, speak truthfully and honor your commitments and your promises, for breaching commitments and breaking promises are signs of hypocrisy. If you want to move up, so you can have a look. The signs of the hypocrite are three. When he speaks, he lies. When he promises, he breaks his promise. And when he is trusted, he betrays that trust. That's from the hadith of the Prophet of Allah. And in another version, And when he makes a commitment, he breaches it. And when he quarrels, he acts corruptly. So these are the things that we need to be aware of when we're doing something. So that the question about nifaq is, are we truly doing it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So we might be doing something good. We might be assisting someone, let's say, move their house, move their furniture from house to house. But am I doing it? This question I need to ask myself. Am I doing it for show? Am I doing it so this person can owe me a favor that I can get back off them next time? Am I doing it because they've got a daughter that, wants or a son or whatever that wants to get married and I'm interested? Am I doing it because that person did me a favor and I'm repaying the favor? That's not for Allah. That's repaying good with good. So that's the question of nifaq or not nifaq in terms of one's intention. What is the reason that one is doing something? And it's very, very slight. Oh, why am I doing that? Because it's the right thing to do. Therefore, the person's not doing it for Allah. Just because I'm doing the right thing, I'm doing the right things Allah said do it, and I'm doing it to please Allah, yes. But just to do it for the mere fact that it's good or the right thing to do, doesn't get people hasanat. You clear on that? That's why they're always, the Sahaba, always worried about that. Yeah, they're doing good deeds, but they were concerned with the, as we said many, many times. Once you learn the Fatiha and you know how to read it properly, how many times do you need to learn it? Once. But how many times when you read the Quran or when you pray, when you learn how to pray, how many times do you need to learn how to pray? Once. But how many times does a person need to worry about sincerity in their prayer? Every single time. Every single time. So that's where the test is. That's why the Sahaba were always concerned. Am I hypocritical? In other words, am I doing things for a right reason? What's the reason? Am I doing it for Allah, in other words? So they were always worried about that. When they started something, they cleaned their intention. And they made very clear in their own minds, in their own hearts, why they were doing something. And they were talking to Allah. Ya Allah, I'm doing this for you because it makes you happy. Ya Allah, I'm doing this because it makes the Prophet of Allah happy. إنما الأعمال بالنيات ومن كانت هجرته إلى الله ورسوله. There's two aspects to it. The intention. To do for Allah and to do for the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, on the kayfiyah, on the way the Prophet showed us sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So that's why we're always worried about that. Once you know how to pray, you know how to pray. You know how to read the Quran and tahiyyah and whatever else we have to do, the ruku' and sujood, we know those rules. It's easy to follow them. But it's hard to keep one's heart connected to Allah. Why? Because I'm in a hurry. I'm going. I'm coming. Someone's meeting me. My phone's ringing. Someone's knocking the door. I heard my phone bleep bleep. It's got an email coming or a message from some sort of social media or. So my mind is distracted from Allah Ta'ala. That's what nifaq is in terms of how the Sahaba considered it to be.
Sorry, Joe. What's the excuses you can make, like when you're making promises? So, like, what's the reasons you can just say, no, I can't come anymore? Like, what's the good reasons?
If someone asks you to do something and you can't do it?
No, like just say you make a promise and then all of a sudden something comes up. What's the legit excuses you can have?
Hold on, we'll get to that. Let's talk about what it is and we'll come to the question, inshallah ta'ala. Alright, so the signs that he said, speak truthfully and honor your commitments and your promises. For breaching commitments and breaking promises is a sign of hypocrisy. The signs of the hypocrite are three. When they speak, they don't tell the truth. They lie. They defame people. They lie about why they were late. They lie about why they couldn't do something. They lie about whatever it might be. When they make a promise, they don't intend to fulfill that. Yeah, no worries, I'll see you tomorrow at 5 o'clock, no worries. They know they can't make it. Oh, can you help me? Yeah, no worries, I'll do it for you. I'll call this person for you. I'll do this for you, don't worry, I'll take care of it. And then when I was there, they don't. It's a sign. We're going to fall into these things. Every single one of us. And then, when they are trusted, they betray the trust. Don't tell anyone, will you? No, I won't tell anyone, no worries. And then, I just told one person, and that person said, I'll tell one person, who said, I'll tell one. Whatever the case, the money, they gave you the money got spent. And another one is, another virgin, when he makes a commitment, he breaches it. Whatever, yeah, no worries, I'll play in the team this year. Oh, doesn't do anything about it. Okay? And then the last one is, when he quarrels, he acts corruptly. Now this one, he says, وَإِذَا عَاهَدَ غَدَرَ. So the meaning of it is that they make it, that's that one that says, when he makes a commitment, he breaches it. So al-ghadar is a lot worse than breach. Ghadar, it's the opposite of being loyal. So so then you go back to the person like this. So you go back to the person and say, man, didn't you say you were gonna, didn't you say you're gonna come and meet me there and give me $100? No, what are you talking about, man? I didn't say that. So it's as if the thing completely didn't happen. Or they set the person up really for failure. That's al-ghadar. ضد الوفاء. Same thing in Arabic. There's no definition for the word ghadara. It's the opposite of being loyal. That's because the Arabs don't have that. That's the biggest disgrace. We're talking about the real Arabs where the Arabic language came from. They don't have that. They gave a word, that's it. That's their word. They gave a commitment no matter what. The Prophet ﷺ, before Nabuwah, he traded with a man, and then the man said, I don't have change for you. He said, no worries, I'll wait here for you. And the man went, the Prophet waited, before he was a prophet even. Waited and waited and waited and waited. Then he went home when it got dark, came the next day at the same time, and he saw the bloke. The bloke said, oh, what's going on? I'm waiting for you. You said you're going to come back. He said, oh, this thing is, you made my life difficult, the Prophet, before he was a prophet. Because he's a sadiqul ameen, the truthful and the trustworthy. That's how they were. That's how they were. That's the nature of the Arabs, how they were back in the day. Before we are, what we're like now. It says, وَإِذَا خَاصَمَ فَجَرَ. So if there's a dispute between him and someone, if there's a quarrel, fajara, what's the word fajara come from? Fajr, in the morning. Right? In the morning the sun explodes, so to speak. And also, it becomes apparent. Erupts. Jazakallah khairan. And fajara also, dynamite. What happens to dynamite in the Arabic language? It explodes. So what does a person do when there's a quarrel? They explode. They go off the path. They become treacherous when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They become indecent. They just completely lose their minds, so to speak. They completely lose it. So basically there's no more rules. No more? That's the sign of nifaq. What? I'm going to do this, I'm going to kill, I'm going to maim, I'm going to do this to his brother, and I'm going to do that to his sister and to his mum, and I'm going to shoot up his house, and over what? Saying they didn't like. Happened to us the other day. The boys were playing football, there was a bit of a dispute, and they went to fight on, it didn't work, and the guys called their friends and they stabbed the guy. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Over nothing. Over a joke in a football game. It was over nothing. It wasn't even it was just for fun. They went and called his buddies and they stabbed the dude, bro. He ended up in hospital, can't move his wrist, got stabbed all the way to the leg. Over what? Because there was a quarrel, khasam, there was an opposition, and that person is, when I was a billah, all Muslims by the way, everyone's a Muslim I'm talking about. I'm not talking about non-Muslims. And then they went and he got his mates and they came, not even with knives, they had knuckle dusters with a knife blade on it and punched him with crazy stuff. Insanity. No, it's not. It's insanity. And asaf al-shadid, like that's normal to these guys. That's normal. That is acceptable behavior. Or what are you going to do? No, nothing. What are we going to do? We can't do nothing. You know who they are? Some people do, some people don't. But that's become the norm. That's become the norm. That's how people lead their lives. Muslims in this country of all places, Yaqi, you want to do that in a war-torn country because that's how it was back there. Oh, it's a war-torn country. There's no law. You know, you can't get any type of justice. If someone puts it over you, in other words, someone takes your right, treats you unjustly, unless you've got someone who's very high up in politics, you can't get your right back. But here, there's the ombudsman, there's the minister for whatever, there's your local member, there's the courts, there's tribunals, there's a million things you can do to get your rights back. Well, we don't need to stab each other. This is how they lead their lives. They think it's normal when Allah Ta'ala. So if they get into a quarrel with someone, there's no more limits. Lucky someone didn't get shot when Allah Ta'ala. And you're hearing about it all the time. The guy shot him over what? They went, the two groups, to make a peace, and then someone said a word that the other guy didn't like. He felt bad, shot the guy. And who is it that gets shot and stabbed? Always the innocent parties that have nothing to do with what's going on. Or beaten, or whatever the case might be. And that's normal. Oh, that. When the police came and looked around, another leb stabbing another leb. Don't worry about it. Oh, it's a true story. I'm not making it up. It happened. I'm not making these things up. Look around, and I come to the police and say, why aren't you doing anything? I'm like, what do you want us to do? Break their fingers, twist their arms? They know it. They know the deal. They know the deal better than me. I've got no idea. That's how people live. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what. And then we don't need change. We need reform. We need reform. Who's going to accept us like that? I don't accept it. Allah doesn't accept it. The Prophet of Allah doesn't accept it. I guarantee if you speak to their parents won't accept it. And where's the end of it? The end of it is either jail or death. There's no, oh, he's a big timer. Big timer ends up where? One or two things. Either in jail or dead. Big timers don't keep going on and on and on and on. But somewhere along the line, they're going to meet a person who's like this. Crazier than they are. And afjar minhu. More, like out of the way, more indecent, more obscene than they are. Some little nobody, and they're going to shoot them or whatever they're going to do, stab them or whatever the case might be. They live by the sword, they die by the sword. And that's meaning in a dishonourable way, not in an honourable way. So that's the reality that's out there. And we, alhamdulillah, we're not exposed to it. That's what goes on in Allah. And that's a sign of nifaq. That's a sign of hypocrisy in Allah. So the Imam is giving us the qualities that we need to be aware of. And he's given us the qualities that we need to try, inshallah, with the help of Allah Ta'ala, try and embody, try and have in our lives, inshallah, so that we can be of the people that follow the Prophet of Allah. We can be of the people that are with the ummah, from the ummah of the Prophet of Allah. So inshallah, in this life and in the next life, especially on the Day of Judgment, we can be under the flag of the Prophet of Allah. They'll call us. They're the people who call. They're the people who live. They call them as sifat al-Muhammadiyya, the qualities of the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, or al-Ahmadiyya, or al-Mustafawiyya. These are the sifat of the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. And they're the things that will, in this life, give us certitude. And certitude will give us peace of mind. And peace of mind will allow us to be happy. And happiness will allow us to fulfill our own potential in this life, whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has destined and set down for us. And then in the next life, Allah will say, جَزَاءً بِمَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. These are the deeds you did. You stayed away from these bad things and these negative things, and you didn't embody these negative characteristics. As-sifat al-madhmuma, the blameworthy qualities. So, there's your paradise. And the levels, people who enter paradise, Muslims and non-Muslims. But where are the levels? Iman and ihsan. The levels going up, 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 up is determined by our deeds and our qualities. The people who are closest to the Prophet, alayhi salatu wasalam, ahasinukum khuluqa. The most excellent of excellent characteristics and dispositions. So that's what we're aiming for. And we get a double jannatan. In this life we're at ease, we're happy, we're fulfilling our own potential, and we're satisfied with our lives. And the next life, good forever. Happiness for whatever you desire, forever and ever. It only gets better. It only gets better. It doesn't stay the same. So like, your favourite fruit is a mango. Every time you eat a mango, the good one, it tastes nice. It's the same taste. But in Jannah, every time you eat it, it tastes nicer. Every bite you have, not just every time you eat one, every bite you have, it tastes better. It's just exponentially more pleasurable. All things in Jannah are like that. And that's the reward. Inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sallallahu alayhi wa Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi. Is there any questions about that? Any of those things or anything else? So the question about what happens. So, in other words, if you promise someone you're going to do something, which happens a lot, and then you're unable to do it, it's your responsibility to inform that person. It's your responsibility as soon as you know that you're unable to fulfill that task or unable to fulfill that promise you've given. I mean, it happens regularly. But the point that the Imam is talking about, the point of the hadith, is that the person, when they make the promise, they don't actually have the intention to do it. They don't actually have the intention. And even if they may have had the intention at the time to do it, but if some little thing comes up and they're like, oh, I don't really feel like going, they either make an excuse or some little thing that maybe doesn't prevent them, but they make it to prevent them. So whatever, they were late at work. Well, they can still come 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late, just let the person know, as an example. But the nifaq, the hypocritical characteristics, are that they don't intend to fulfill their promises. So, one of the things that a person should think of when it comes to that, and that's one thing that some cultures, particularly Arab cultures, have when you go overseas, is they always say yes to you. No matter what they say, yeah, no worries, I'll do it, this, that. They're trying to be generous, and they're trying to be nice, and they're trying to make you feel good. But it's the custom, it becomes a custom. So you're relying on that person to do something for you, and then they don't do it. And then you come to ask them and they consider it rude. Man, how come you didn't do that? What, me? Come on, what, Oh, okay, let me do it now. So the other quality that needs to go along with that is the capacity to be able to tell someone, unfortunately, I'm unable to assist you in this circumstance. We all want to help people. We all want to do good by people. We all want to do whatever it is that we can to make other people's lives easier. Well, most of us, inshallah. But sometimes we have to learn to say no. Because if it is too difficult for us, or our schedules are too packed, or whatever the case might be, then we have to let people know. We have to say, look, I really want to help you out, and it's letting down people easily. Unfortunately, things I'm tied up in whatever, or I won't be able to do that till another day, or whatever. And look, it's not. No one really wants to do that. We all want to be able to do our maximum to help people, but unfortunately, sometimes we can't. Unfortunately, sometimes we don't have the capacity for whatever reason it might be. So it's incumbent upon us. It's our responsibility then to let other people know. But before it gets to that, it's better to let people know that unfortunately, I can't make that promise. Unfortunately, I can't do whatever it is that you're asking me to do. And it's not an easy skill to have, because the point is that we don't want people to have their feelings hurt. We don't want to hurt people's feelings, but the way that we do it is what it's all about. Oh, I would really love to help you. Unfortunately, whatever's going on, I've got another commitment at that time, or whatever. So that's the other side of the coin. And the Prophet ﷺ, when they went out in the campaign, there's some Sahabis that they came late and all these things, and they weren't munafiq, so they didn't go to the Prophet ﷺ and make any excuses. They said, Ya Rasulullah, we were wrong. Ya Rasulullah, we should have done better. That's the difference between nifaq and the other hypocrites. They would say, oh, Ya Rasulullah, we got tied up with the planting, we got tied up with the harvesting, and the Prophet knew, and he just left them. Those people, they're munafiqs. They're hypocrites when older than them. But the others that came to the Prophet ﷺ and said, Ya Rasulullah, we were wrong. We didn't do the right thing. And in one situation, Allah Azza wa Jal said, don't speak to him. I think it was 40 or 50 days, I can't recall. I think it was 50 days, and no one was allowed to speak to him, not even their wives. None of the Sahaba was allowed to speak to him, because, that was their punishment, so to speak, so they could have their sins cleaned, because they didn't go out with the Prophet of Allah. So, look, if we can focus on that quality, try to always, when we make an intention to do something, be critical of oneself. Not all the time, because then it turns negative. But when one makes an intention to do something, be real with yourself. Don't lie to yourself. Don't delude yourself. Why is it that I'm doing this thing? Why is it that I want to do this thing? What's my intention behind it? And that's what the Sahaba were constantly doing. That's one of the reasons that they are who they are. And we refer to them, we know their names, and we know their histories and their biographies, nearly 1,500 years after they are around. Any other questions, inshallah?
Yeah, in terms of intention, can you change it from, for example, if you intend to do something else, and then all of a sudden for the activity, change it for a better intention?
Definitely. So if your intention wasn't right, even the people like Imam Haddad, actually, he's got a qasida, which is like poetry, and he talks about himself. Ya wayha sawiya. He talks about himself. He goes, he said, "Qasduha al-jahu wal-mal." That's what he says in the poem. He goes, Imam Haddad says that the purpose of me doing things is two things: money and jah, which means popularity or status. He's talking about himself. If these akabir, as they're called, if these major awliya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, these major people, they talk like that to themselves. And they write it in poetry, so later on, hundreds of years later, we read his poetry and we say, wow, that's how the man was. And that's an example for us. That, Sayyidina Umar, Allahumma arda anhu, when he got stabbed by Abu Lu'la, and he was praying Fajr in the Prophet's masjid, alayhi salatu wasalam. He said, Ya Umar, if Allah doesn't have mercy on you, what's going to happen to you? He's to always call himself a munafiq. Always. And that is that not to a stage where we become depressed. Not like that. It's that when we make our intentions, we're careful about being true to ourselves and true to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the reasoning behind the intention that we've made. And then, of course, we have a chance to even during the activity, to change the intention. And even at post-activity, say, Allah, my intention wasn't right, but I intended to do it for you, Allah, accept. And it's up to Allah if He wants to accept or not. Did you have a question? Anything else? No? About anything else, whether it's this or anything? No? Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala khayri al-anam wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam al-rahman alhamdulillah bi'ahmadika al-wasi'a wa yassir umurna bi hayati ba'd al-mamat nas'aluka ya arhamar rahimin an tuwaffiqna lima huwa khayran lana fi al-hayat نسألك يا أرحم الراحمين أن ترفع درجاتنا عندك نسألك يا أرحم الراحمين أن تجعلنا من الذين يستمعون القول ويتبعون أحسن نسألك يا أرحم الراحمين خير ما سألك منه نبيك وحبيبك محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم ونستعاذك من شر ما استعاذك منه نبيك